I'm Katie, and this is episode 66 of Ornamentations. I'm finally back in my usual spot on the couch, which is great because I have so much spread out around me, and we are going to have a mega episode today with the release of this Happy Morning Kits, the beautiful sampler by Plum Street. I also have my haul from the Addicts Sampler Symposium, and ooh, it is some good haul to show you, and a discussion related to that of how I use my silk stash. I also have a finish, a start, lots of whip progress, including another look at what's going on with the Britomart Sampler since you saw it last. I also have all the winners for the 7,000 subscriber giveaways and a new giveaway to celebrate today's release. And that's where we'll start today, with the release of the kits for my conversion of Plum Street samplers this Happy Morning, now available on my website. The kit cost is $125, and it includes pretty much everything except the chart. So we have a enormous 20 by 20 cut of legacy linen 38 count Fuller's Teasel, which gives you a little over 3-inch margins stitching this project. 17 spools of threads in 3 distinct colorways. Sorry about all the crinklings, the bags do that. And those comprise Soie Goblins, Soie 103, and then a single spool of Soie Surfine, that's in this brown here, for your over one. It really does make it so much easier to do that. And then I have also included, although it's buried in here, number 12 short tapestry point beading needle to use with the Surfine for your over one. If you've never tried that before, it really will just improve your life. So that's why it's in there. There's also a little gift for you from me, which is a sticker of my finish of this Happy Morning. Put it in your book of days, and then just remember what you're stitching towards when you get bogged down in all the grass. Stitching with these beautiful, vibrant silks really does bring so much joy, but especially if you make the changes that I did and remove the verse from the grass, filling in with trees and grass instead. Oh, that is a lot of grass, and the results are totally worth it, but it's a lot of grass. So the sticker is to remind you of what you're stitching towards. There is also a photograph of my finish in your kit conversion needles. So I will not be restocking this kit or taking pre-orders, unfortunately, because of the limited availability of the materials. Could really only do so much with needing 3 spools each of that green. It is also the first appearance of my specially commissioned vibrant green goblins here, seen in the grass, the border, the trees, etc., etc. And oh, you don't want to miss this color. It is absolutely glorious. And so then, for those of you who might be new to my channel and haven't heard the story behind this, you might notice that this is a little different from the charted version. Although the conversion is all-purpose, you can use the silks to stitch it exactly as charted. You can follow some of my changes or not all. You can follow a lot of my changes to do something similar. It's all purpose and very, very flexible. Basically, you've got whatever you need to stitch whatever version of this piece that you would like. But the story behind my particular interpretation of it, and some of you have heard this before, so just go back to your stitching and let me ramble for a hot second. But I made some changes to make this a matrilineal heritage piece. So Frances and Helen Ann, also known as Annie Alcock, were my maternal grandmother and great aunt, 2 very important women in my life, and they grew up on a farm in Lindenwood, Illinois, with a barn flanked by trees that looked a great deal like this one. And I ended up putting their names there at the base of the tree to make it look like a family tree, you know, with our matriarchs at the base of the tree. If you wanted to take the idea a little further, you could actually skip adding some of those leaves and put in names or initials as well to make this truly a family tree. Oh, gonna have to clean glass, just touched it. Anyways, so, and then, oh, actually, I'm gonna put in a photo here, well, a photograph of a painting of the real place that was done by my great-grandmother. And you can see really how much it looks like the piece, which is what gave me the idea for this adaptation in the first place. It also features a little pony, a Shetland, styled after Tony the Pony. This comes from the somersault boxes chart, and that's noted in the conversion guide if you'd like to make that same change. I didn't chart that myself. I took that from another Plum Street pattern. And this is my mother as a young girl riding Tony the Pony next to her favorite cousin. They were very close in age. They're still very close, always companions in mischief and fun, from what I understand it. So that's this happy morning. I have written a very detailed guide to my changes that's included in all of your materials if you'd like to do something similar and make this a heritage piece for your own family. I do have to say I found that really meaningful. It brought even more enjoyment to what is just a truly stunning piece. The reds, the greens, I know I say that every time I show this, but seriously, the reds, the greens are gorgeous. They sing. So I absolutely loved doing that. It also made this a great gift for my mom, who has graciously lent this back to me to show you for today's release. And so I'm planning on finally getting to a start on Fox and Rabbit's Elizabeth Campbell this year and making some changes to that to honor my heritage on my father's side. So kits for this happy morning are $125, which again, all threads, linen, a couple extras, everything but the chart, available on my website now. So let's talk haul. What did I buy at the attic? The first thing actually relates to the Britomart Sampler. I had a discussion with Linda Vinson of Needlemade Designs about the Britomart Sampler and my adventures in stitching reversibly for the first time, and she told me about this chart of hers, the Reversible cross stitch sampler, which I promptly went and shoomed. So this has 4 different variations on reversible cross, which are all used. They're beautifully diagrammed, and then she also has some wonderfully clear explanations about stitch path, how you order your stitches and the way you move between them. It's one of the really important concepts in reversible stitching. I think she explains it really well. This has actually been a resource for me as I move forward on the Britomart Sampler, because reversible cross is now coming in on the band that I am working presently. And so as I said, there are 4 variations on reversible cross stitch that she's got in here. I was previously only familiar with 3 of these, so I definitely learned something new, and I think it's a great resource if you're, you know, just a little curious, because I found when I was going around the room after my presentation with the Britomart Sampler, answering questions, that a lot of stitchers asked me, why would you go to all the effort of stitching reversibly? Why did the 17th century stitchers go to the effort of stitching reversibly? It certainly is more effort than stitching normally. And then a lot of stitchers asked me, but how would you stitch it reversibly? They were clearly very interested in the mechanics of how do you make a stitch reversible. And if that's something that's of interest to you, whether or not you want to go the whole hog with the Britomart Sampler or not, this is a great first look at answering that question, and it's really well done, so I can't recommend it enough. And then I also got a couple bird charts because I was talking to Kim, Contented Needleworker Kim, here on Flosstube. As we all know, she loves birds. I was feeling the influence of her personality, so I picked up a couple bird charts that I had been admiring but didn't yet own. And those are Reversible by the Scarlett House and Little Pear Tree Pinkeep by Scattered Seed Samplers. I think both of these would look great stitched quite small in a complementary colorway and then arranged together maybe in a little bowl. Perfect for some of my other haul, which is the Legacy Linen 48 count marchpane, as I told you last time. About a yard. Yep, I'm not ashamed. That was the thing. I also got a Prairie Schooler that I didn't own, which was Happy Christmas. So what I would really like to do is just stitch this top part. Again, maybe stitch it small and it could be an ornament or it could be a flat fold, or I don't know. I mean, I have so many plans, which is what makes my last purchases so utterly ridiculous. I have no idea when I'm going to get around to these. So the first is, the attic is the home of samplers, where samplers rule, and you have to get some samplers while you're there, even if you are chock full of projects like I am. And the first was GGR's polka dot cow samplers. So Justine, just quilty stuff, and I were talking at summer school about how you could stitch just this bottom seam and finish it as a drum, which is maybe kind of a ridiculous plan because that's very dense stitching, and the chart is 378 by 434. So even if you just do this little tiny bit, that's a lot of stitching. Maybe in 10 years I'll get around to that. But in the meantime, I have it just in case there are ever, more than 24 hours in a day. Why can't that be a thing? It is so annoying that, you just can't get more time because I have to stitch all of the things. And to that end of big projects I don't have time for. Elizabeth Lilly, 1801 by the Scarlet House. Sorry, by Scarlet Letter, because I love that house. I love the density. I love the florals. I love the colors. This is just begging for a Katie Silk conversion. Don't ask me when. I don't have time to do this, but on the marchpane, oh, that looks fabulous. Oh, I love those. Sarah Williams, Hollyhead, 1864. The colors, the borders, the florals, I just absolutely love this. This is cross-stitch antiques, if I didn't say that. And I was just looking at this over a few days. I mean, like, Katie, you have enough projects. And then I finally just succumbed because, why not? So, more samplers that I don't really have time to stitch, but one day, maybe. And then the last thing I got was a repeat set of spools for some of my colors from Eliza Townsend's work by Cross Stitch Antiques, which is one of my ongoing whips. And I actually brought it to Symposium to show Kathleen, who was an other member of the faculty there. If you haven't seen this before, I started this for Sampler September with an original silk conversion. I'll link it in the description. It's still a partial though. I haven't gotten to all the colors yet. But I really leaned into pinks, greens, and reds that I loved to kind of put my own twist on this pattern. And this is Soie Surfine on 45 count Legacy Linen Jersey Cream. So how I use my silk stash, it's basically ordered like a library. And then I check out spools for projects as I need them. So there's a master collection, and those are organized by thread type. So the Surfines all kept together, the Goblins are all kept together, and then within that they're organized by color. This is one of my set of drawers for Soie Surfine. Okay, so this time I'm going to hold the drawers closed when I tilt it to the camera so that they don't drop and spill all over the floor. Some of you are longtime viewers might remember that. So there's the master set of spools, and then at any given time I'll have some of them checked out for different projects. Eliza Townsend is a long-term whip, and it's also a fairly large one. There's a lot of stitching with some colors that I really love. That's why I picked them. And I don't want them to be out of stash for such a long time. I also think I'm going to put a pretty large dent in some of these spools. So I bought a set of duplicates so that these can return to the trays. I can use them on other projects, and then I will keep my original set of spools with Eliza Townsend. Because I'm a fairly monogamous stitcher, that system really works for me. If you have a lot of very big long-term whips with a lot of colors, that might not work so well, but that's how I use my stash. Basically, it's like a lending library. So at any one time I have the different spools I have for different projects organized in little boxes or trays. They're kept in the same spot so I can easily see what I have out of my library at any given time. And then the last thing I bought was not from the attic, but it's the Modern Folk Embroidery release Tjeerdje and Geertje, a Frisian mother-daughter sampler. And some of you who know me well might be looking at this going, Katie, do you see all the letters on that? No, I don't actually plan to stitch this at all. But what I was thinking is that I really like to personalize and modify my pieces. So on Eliza Townsend, I am going to change the verse. I'm going to put in my own initials and the date that I actually finished it. On Fox and Rabbit's Elizabeth Campbell, I'm going to use family initials instead of Elizabeth Campbell and the date, and so on and so forth. So it struck me that it might be kind of cool to create essentially a reference book of different charts that have great alphabets or numbers as an easy just, I don't want to chart something original, I'd like to put in some ready-made whatever from a chart, and then you can just pull out what you need. And this one certainly has a lot of really great alphabets. They're in different sizes. So this AKGIT, I'll have to start looking at what I have and what I need to get, but I think that would be a really great just kind of reference to have for personalization. So possible idea for you if that's something else that you like to do. And then with that, I think we're actually done with my haul. I'm going to clear that away, and then we're going to look at my finishes and my whips because I have been doing a lot of stitching. Okay, so the first thing I have is a finished, not yet FFO'd, and this is going to be my coming Christmas in July kit. Stacy Nash Wonderful Life pinkeep drum. I've been working on this and I managed to finish it since I saw you last. This is my finish, and oh, I think this is beautiful. So you can't see all the sparkle here, unfortunately, but I used Silver Accentuate paired with a light gray Surfine to really pop out those snowflakes. And in real life, it's just this beautiful, subtle, wonderfully sparkly effect. So on this side, I removed basically most of what was on the chart and just filled in with snowflakes, some of the charted trees, and then I added in one of the trees from the Notforgotten farm chart, Basket of Cheer. I know that's cheating a little bit, but you do have all the threads needed to stitch the chart exactly as charted, so only sort of cheating, I guess. Anyways, I finished the house, and I did make a few changes in terms of how I deployed the different colors, how I arranged the filler, and those are all discussed at length in the guide to the conversion if you would like to follow my changes. Now Carrie's on my letters. Such a good girl there. And then for next time, I hope to have this as an FFO, so it's already been blocked, although I don't really think I covered myself in glory this time. I might need to do it again. Take a look once I go to cut this down for finishing. And then these are the threads. So this will be what's in the kit. As you can see, very, very neutral. It really plays off the gray tones of the Himalayan fog, which is the ground linen here. Love this set of colors. It's just gorgeous. I don't know, it speaks to me and how subtle it is. And then I have some ideas to get kind of sparkly and fun with this finish, which will be a drum. look great. I do have some different ribbon choices. I don't think I'm going to include those as part of the kit because I just think there are so many different ways you could go with it. I mean, there's something that's a very good tonal match. I really like this kind of beigey brown. You could go green, you could go red, you could do a lot of things. Anyway, we'll see where the finish on this goes. I have some ideas. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off, but that's Stacy Nash Wonderful Life pinkeep drum, which will be the coming Christmas in July kit. And if the idea in my head can actually come to life, it's gonna be really cool. I also started my February 12 by 12 stitch after I finished It's a Wonderful Life. This is a pretty dinky little start, but so Laura, the serial starter, and I are doing a ornament 12 by 12, one ornament every month. And this is our February assignment. We're stitching the same one for February. That's Holly Jolly by Notforgotten Farm. This is a really easy stitch. There's really not very much to it. However, since I was just at the attic, I decided I wanted to do this one small and make a fabulously tiny little ornament for my tree. So I used Legacy Linen 5363. This is a color called Sandcastle that I think might no longer be around, but don't quote me on that. And then I'm stitching with Flosstube, very neat on the back. So I've only got 2 colors in here so far, but I hope to have a full conversion for you next time that I will share. There's, like I said, really not much to this, and it should come together pretty quickly. So I'm trying to put just a thread or 2 in every night, and I'm should be okay to finish this by the end of February. Yeah, if it leaks into March, that's okay because I actually already have a February ornament finish, although it's not a cross stitch one. So the votes were very strongly in favor back a few months ago when I asked the question, did people want to see a Crystal Dove ornament kit for next year? And I did tell you that there were some problems I had to solve, so I started sourcing materials and doing a prototype version, which is where I work with the materials I know I can obtain and see if they work. I am happy to report that the answer to that is yes. There are a few changes I still need to make here. I got the angle of the wing a little wrong. It looks better, kind of more splayed out. This is a little too upright. That's easily fixed. But whoo, he's sparkly, he's fun. Crystal Doves are coming, and then this is the prototype version for the kit. Ooh, this is really, I don't know what it is about the light in here today, but you're actually getting a real, well, a better view at least of what the effect with these things are. They are truly spectacular. You may note that the bird is not holding anything in its beak. That's one problem I have not been able to solve. All my ideas have just kind of ended up looking like they don't fit with the rest of it. So I think this is probably going to be pretty close to it, although like I said, gonna make some changes. I'll make a final version that is for the kit instructions. But as a test to make sure that all of the materials I can obtain work, pretty successful. And as you can see, super, super sparkly. So Crystal Doves coming for holiday 2024. And that was my first February ornament finish. And then I also made some really good progress on Notforgotten Farm Parson Brown, which I am doing as a companion piece to my finish of Heartstring Sampler Baby It's Cold Outside. The conversion for this has already been shared. I'll link it in the description if you'd like to follow along here. So this is where I am. I'm almost done with the snowman. As you can see, I've made some color changes. I didn't give him a shovel. I used white and an off-white as opposed to white and a gray to kind of outline the snowman. I just thought that looked better. As I said, took out the shovel, and then I felt this was so tonal that he didn't need the red, so I gave him a gray hat instead. Also because once he's actually stitched and this is finished, this is about to go to Sparkle Town. This is going to be a sequined snowman. So hopefully the next time I see you, he will be super sparkle snowman. He is also, well, the piece is already quite sparkly because of the bijou that's used for the border. Copper leaf. But unfortunately, that really doesn't show in the stitching on camera. Eternal frustration. Why I can't get sparkle to show on video for someone who loves sparkle so much. Something I spend way too much time thinking about. Anyways, the conversion for this is finished. I will put it in the description. It is on Legacy Linen Smoke Signals, 37 count. And then the other thing I did here that you might want to note is for his mouth and then also for his eyes, although that and his buttons I'm going to use little crystal beads for to really make them pop and sparkly. I used Smyrna crosses instead of just a regular cross to give it a little more shape and definition. I think that's just one of those very small little details that gave a really good result. So this is where I am with Parson Brown, very close to a finish. I hope to be showing you paired companion pieces for the next episode, fully sparkled up, because he is just going to get encrusted with sequins. I can already see it and I think it's going to be fabulous. These are my threads and I will be sharing the complete conversion in the description for this episode. Oh, and then, so just, I don't know, apropos of nothing, I wanted to show you a little arrangement I did for February. So I love berries, and I'm going to stitch the Scattered Seed Samplers Little Berries Thief on the 48 count Legacy Linen March Pane, just like Jean did. Because I want to be just like Jean. Everybody wants to be just like Jean. So I took this little bowl and then I arranged some of my existing strawberries, and then there's a little place here right where my Scattered Seed Sampler Skeed Sampler's berry is going to go. So you know how berry bowls frequently appear as sampler motifs? Well, I made my own literal berry bowl from pieces I already have. Two of these were gifts, and then this one is a piece that you can buy, I think from Thread Milk Primitives, but don't quote me on that. It's a little velvet pinkeep, really, really cute. And now we'll turn to the Britomart Sampler, my biggest ongoing whip that I'm currently working on. Unfortunately, I don't have as much progress as I had hoped to show you today. I did spend a lot of time getting ready for this happy morning. Cutting all that linen was no joke, let me tell you. After I finished, I took my shears in for sharpening, and the guy at the counter was just like, what did you do to these? Like, hey man, I had samplers to get, you know, it's a thing. Anyways, so kitting, and then I did also have to chart the band that I'm currently working on. I was playing around with reorganizing the elements and also introducing a little bit more negative space. I like a little more of that than the average 17th century band sampler stitcher, so that's a part of my design process as well. But so this is where I am. I added the filling for the zigzag center line on the third band. It's this lovely, fabulous texture that I think really enriches the band, although you are going to very much need that extra green when the Paris comes in. I can fill in the leaves. And then I'm down on the fourth band, and this led me to something that I really didn't expect when I charted this band. I didn't see this one coming, and it really slowed me down. It's why I don't have more to show you, but it also really enriched my understanding of how these girls worked and what they learned and what their process was. So what slowed me down was the filling for the center line element here, that lighter green. It's beautiful, and the structure is actually quite simple. If you're not stitching reversibly, it's just diagonals and straight stitches over two. Very, very simple. If you are stitching reversibly, and then the path is quite complicated, and this is the first time I've actually run into that. So for the most part, I find reversible stitching to be very logical. There are only so many ways you can attack these things, and so when you're looking at an element and trying to pick it apart, the path is usually quite clear. Here, it was not intuitive at all, and I really enjoyed teasing it out what exactly the path was, because when you study the historic pieces that inspired this element, it's very, very clear that the girls were not just stitching by the seat of their pants, but they worked out a clear, intelligent, well thought out, and efficient path through this element. It's almost like it was a test, a puzzle, a hard math problem, an assignment that the most accomplished students were given to solve to kind of test where they were at in their learning process. Because as I noted in my talk at Sampler Symposium, the polychrome band sampler was actually usually the first sampler that a girl stitched as part of her needlework education in the 17th century, and it was usually the first time she was stitching reversibly, just like I'm doing. So she was learning just the way that I'm learning, and it's so interesting. But you know, that's been one of the really enjoyable parts of this journey so far, and it's understanding what the 17th century stitchers' thinking was as they were doing these pieces, why they made the choices they did in their samplers, and what they learned from it. Because it's not just a matter of decoding the literal stitch placement and path that the stitcher used, but understanding what their thought processes were and what they learned. So learning the language of their stitching and what it can tell us, I find it absolutely fascinating. And designing and stitching one of these pieces has really led me to a much richer understanding of what the 17th century girl learned, experienced, thought, struggled with when she was undergoing this process as well. So it's been something really, rewarding and enriching. And you know, I think that if you would like to do the Britomart Sampler, that you're gonna have a great time with it too. So I've been having fun with that, and as I noted, I added the filling for the zigzag, and then we haven't talked about the border. So one process that has been happening off camera so far is, when I showed this to you, you're looking at complete bands matched with complete borders. What actually happens as I go through this is I decide what the border is, I put in one thread in what is essentially my best guess at what I think the color is, and then I go on to stitch the complete band. I put in that first thread just to make sure that my placement is exactly right and I'm not relying on counting, because that could go so wrong. But I don't want to make a final color choice until I'm looking at a complete band, because your idea of what best sets it off can really change between now and then. So this was my best guess going in. However, even with just the center line filled in, I'm thinking I probably need to go one shade lighter. The color on this border is definitely still pink. I just don't think it's that pink. So the design process kind of, you know, it adjusts on the fly. So we won't see any more of the border until the entire band is filled in. That's my order of work here. If you are stitching the Britomart Sampler, obviously all of those choices will have already been made unless you want to adjust them. So you can just go in the very literal order of work in which the bands and borders are laid out. So that's where we are on the Britomart Sampler. I hope to get some good work in on this band, unless there are any other reversible stitching surprises lying in wait for me. You never know, there may be. They can be quite deceptive. This did not look that difficult at first glance, and I don't really want to give a false idea. It wasn't necessarily difficult, it was just less intuitive than I have generally found reversible stitching to be. But Anyways, now that you've heard all my philosophical thoughts on the nature of band sampler stitching, let's get to giveaways. So I have the winners for the 7,000 subscriber giveaway, and the first are the 3 sets of stickers of AKGIT from my Stitch of It. And the winners for those are Jo Marie Hogel, 1980, Mary A. Willis, and Susan Ramey, 6239. For all of today's winners, I've commented on your comment. Please use the contact form on my website to send me your mailing address, and I will get you your prizes. The next giveaway winner is for the Britomart notebook. The winner for that is, I'm not actually sure how you say this, Wina? W-I-N-A Pitts 6723. You are the winner of the Britomart notebook. The winner of the berry chart, Little Berry Thief Pinkeep. This is such a great chart if you don't have it, from Scattered Seed Samplers. The winner of the berry chart is Little Annie Z 874. The winner of the much in demand, this was far and away the most popular giveaway, the large cut of 48 count legacy linen March Pain, one of the new linens. The winner of the linen cut is Kathy Jet 2744. And then our last winner for today of Mary Hill from Needlework Press keyword chart is Janet 1717. So congratulations to all the winners. Make sure to contact me with your mailing addresses. And then our giveaway for today, to celebrate the release of this Happy Morning kit that has been a very long time coming. I'm pretty sure I started stitching this, last March? So yeah, it's been a while. You all have been very patient. I cannot thank you enough. So I am giving away a brand new chart for this Happy Morning, since that's not included with the kit. And the keyword for today's giveaway will be happy. Please feel free to enter whether or not you bought the kit. If you would love to stitch this fabulous piece, go ahead and enter. If you've been listening to me ramble all this time, you totally deserve an entry to my giveaway. So, final reminder, the kits for this Happy Morning are currently available on my website. I hope that you all enjoy this piece as much as I did. It is just stunning. This is probably the last time we'll see this on my channel, because as I've told you, this now belongs to my mother. It's hanging in my parents' house. So let's take one final look at those glorious rich reds and greens. Oh, it was a lot of block stitching, and you guys know how I feel about block stitching, but it was totally worth it. These are the beautiful threads. Link is in the description, and I will see you next time when I hope to have some FFOs. I really hope I'll be showing you a completed Sparkle-fied Parson Brown and Wonderful Life Pinkeep drum. I hope we'll be looking at a lot of progress on this 4th band for the Britomart Sampler. Maybe even AKGIT will make a reappearance. I mean, I don't want to get crazy. There are truly only so many hours in the day. But as always, I have lots of big dreams, lots of big plans, and we'll see how much stitching I can get done before I see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, happy stitching.